Good morning. The time for convening has arrived. The Senate will come to order. At this time, I will ask all unauthorized personnel to exit the chamber. I recognize the senator from the 6th. You got a new district now, the 6th.
Morning, Mr. President. I do have a new district. Got a new license plate. Went on my car this morning. Just arrived in the mail. So I'm now official. How was your trip?
It was wonderful.
Well, we missed you.
I'm glad I'm back in Georgia.
We're glad to have you back.
Yeah.
We cried while you were gone. Mr. President, I got a great group of pages here today. Traveled from all over this state to be with us and work with us. Out of Ball Ground, we have Harper Reese. Out of Cornelia, we have William Neesmith. Out of Toco, we have Gavin Simmons. Out of Fargo, we have Lindsey Musgrove. Out of Homerville, we have Carly Tomlinson. Out of Atlanta, we have Ida Armstead. Out of Atlanta, we have Xavier Dillon. Out of Campbellson Redwine, we have Chloe Brett. Out of Grayson, we have two sisters, a brother, and a cousin. We have Abigail, Ella, and Kyle Jensen with their cousin Olivia Rucker. Olivia's actually from Monroe. Out of Cumming, we have Reagan Strong. Out of Rex, we have Autumn Thompson. Out of Bonaire, we have Stella Franks. And out of Kathleen, we have Ella Perkins. Y'all give these pages a big round of applause. We appreciate y'all being here. Look forward to working with you today, handling the people's business here in the Georgia State Senate. Mr. President, the journal has been read and found to be correct.
All right. Thank you, Senator. And thank you, Pages, for being here today. Is there objection to dispensing of the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills and resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the Secretary's desk. First reading and references of Senate bills and resolutions. Secretary?
Senate Bill 98 by Senator Cowsert of the 46th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 29 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated related to guardian and ward so as to provide for county
children and family.
Senate Bill 99 by Senator Robertson of the 29th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 16-1-3 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated related to definitions relative to crimes and
Public
offenses.
safety.
Senate Bill 100 by Senator Robertson of the 29th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 31-10-14 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated related to the issuance of a new birth certificate.
Children and family.
Senate Bill 101 by Senator Robertson of the 29th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 12 of Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 102 by Senator Robertson of the 29th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 12 of the
Public
title.
safety.
Senate Bill 103 by Senator Anna Vitarte of the 31st and others, bills being entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 3 of Chapter 5 of Title
Government
50.
oversight.
Senate Bill 104 by Senator Anna Vitarte of the 31st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 29 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated related to information.
Government oversight.
Senate Bill 105 by Senator Anna Vitarte of the 31st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 50 of Title 43 of the
Agriculture.
Senate Bill 106 by Senator James of the 28th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 7 of Title 44 of the Official Code of
State
Georgia.
and local government.
Senate Bill 107 by Senator James of the 28th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 3 of Title 44 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated.
Economic development.
Senate Bill 108 by Senator James of the 28th and others, a bill to be entitled an act.
Economic development.
Senate Bill 109 by Senator Harbison of the 15th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 25.
Veterans.
Senate Bill 110 by Senator Anna Vitarte of the 31st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 15-11-2 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated related to definition.
Children and family.
Senate Bill 111 by Senator Albers of the 56th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 10 of the official.
Economic development.
Senate Bill 112 by Senator Dixon of the 45th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title
Regulated industries.
Senate Bill 113 by Senator Dixon of the 45th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated related to professions.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 114 by Senator Parent of the 44th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 28 of the Official Code of Georgia.
Reapportionment.
Senate Bill 115 by Senator Islam Parks of the 7th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 48.
Finance.
Senate Resolution 141 by Senator Wicks of the 34th and others, a resolution recognizing Senator Valencia Say as dedicating a road in her honor and for other purposes.
Transportation.
Mr. President, that completes the order.
First reading references to House bills and resolutions.
House Bill 5 by Representative Campbell of the 171st, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act.
State and local government.
House Bill 6 by Representative Campbell of the 171st.
State and local government.
House Bill 13 by Representative Corbett.
State and local government.
House Bill 28 by Representative Cannon of the
State and local government.
House Bill 29 by Representative Cannon of the 172nd, a bill to
State and local government.
House Bill 32 by Representative Cannon of
State and local government.
House Bill 33 by Representative Cannon.
State and local government.
House Bill 39 by Representative Anderson of the
State and
10th.
local government.
House Bill 103 by Representative Smith of 138.
State and local government.
House Bill 160 by Representative
State
Smith.
and local government.
House Bill 174 by Representative Ballard of the
State and local government.
Mr. President, that completes the order.
Secretary will read reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Finance has under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 2, due pass. Senate Bill 47, due pass by substitute, respectfully submitted. Senator Huffstetler, the 52nd District Chairman. Dear Mr. Secretary, pursuant to Rule 2-1.6, I hereby give notice that I will introduce a minority report to be read along with the majority report of Senate Bill 47, which was passed by the Committee on Finance on Wednesday, February 5th, 2025. Sincerely, Senator Orrock. Dear Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services has under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 8, due pass, respectfully submitted. Senator Watson, the 1st District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Public Safety has under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 21, due pass by substitute. Senate Bill 64, due pass. Senate Bill 7, due pass. Senate Bill 84, due pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Albers, the 56th District Chairman. Dear Mr. Secretary, pursuant to Rule 2-1.6, I hereby give notice that I will introduce a minority report to be read along with the majority report on Senate Bill 7, which was passed by Public Safety on Wednesday, February 5th, 2025. Sincerely, Senator Halpern. Dear Mr. Secretary, pursuant to Senate Rule 2-1.6, I hereby give notice that I will introduce a minority report to be read along with the majority report of Senate Bill 21, which was passed by the Committee on Public Safety on Wednesday, February 5th, 2025. Sincerely, Senator Jones II. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules has under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Resolution 23, due pass. Senate Resolution 95, due pass by substitute. Senate Resolution 96, due pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Brass of the 6th District Chairman. Dear Mr. Secretary, pursuant to Rule 2-1.6, I hereby give notice that I will introduce a minority report to be read along with the majority report of Senate Resolution 23, which rules passed out on Wednesday, February 5th, 2025. Sincerely, Senator Jackson. Mr. President, that completes the order.
That was long, wasn't it? Secretary will read bills and resolutions for the second time.
Senate Bill 8 by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd and others, courts arrest warrant requirements when juvenile courts are acting as courts of inquiry provide. Senate Bill 13 by Senator Summers of the 13th and others, Georgia Environmental Finance Authority, finance and perform certain duties in connection with projects relating to natural gas facilities authorized. Senate Bill 22 by Senator Tillery of the 19th and others, State School Superintendent, Department of Education to publish relevant and applicable federal guidance documents and related information require. Senate Bill 23 by Senator Albers of 56 and others, retirement total percentage of funds that employees' retirement system in Georgia may invest in alternative investments, raise the limit. Senate Bill 35 by Senator Walker of the 20th and others, property insurance policies, notice required to be given a policyholder before the non-renewal of his or her homeowner's insurance policy, increase the number of days. Senate Bill 39 by Senator Tillery of the 19th and others, employees' insurance and benefits plans, expenses for gender-affirming care under the state health benefit plan or with any state funds prohibit coverage. Senate Bill 44 by Senator Watson of the 11th and others, equalization grants, annual calculations and allocations, the definition of the term qualified local school board by reducing the minimum required millage rates revised. Mr. President, that completes the order.
It is now time for the morning roll call. Any motions to excuse? Recognize Senator from 33rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, y'all. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 10th for business way outside the Capitol.
Without objection, Senator from the 10th is excused. Any other motions to excuse? Secretary will call the roll. Senators, signify your presence by voting the yea switch. Secretary will unlock the machine. It is now time for our morning devotion. All senators, please take your seats and cease all conversation. I will ask the doorkeeper to secure the chamber at this time. I now recognize the good senator from the 39th to introduce our chaplain of the day and lead us in our pledge. Senator?
Thank you. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Georgia flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag, to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage. Good morning. It is my great honor to introduce pastor, author, philanthropist, inductee to the National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame, entrepreneur, and two-time Grammy Award winner, Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant. But more than all those titles, he is a man who has been rooted in his faith since his early years and been at the forefront of ministry and activism for the last 3 decades. Born and raised in Baltimore, Pastor Bryant is a third-generation pastor. He currently serves as the senior pastor of the legendary New Birth Missionary Baptist Church located in Stonecrest, Georgia. He is a Morehouse man, a Duke University graduate, and a doctor of ministry. And above all, he believes in the power of God's word, and his goal is to inspire the masses to grow in their faith, to love thy neighbors, and to serve God. It is an honor to have Pastor Bryant with us this morning. Please join me in welcoming Pastor Dr. Jamal Bryant to the Senate chambers this morning.
Thank you so very much. Good morning. Salutations to Governor Jones, accolades to Sonia Halpern, to my own mayor of Stonecrest who's with us. High commendation to the greatest congregation, New Birth, and to all of you who are entrusted with the hopes and the dreams of the citizens of Georgia. A Japanese philosopher, Kishimi, wrote a compelling work that every person in this house should have a copy of. It's entitled The Courage to be Disliked. In it, the author unpacks to have real freedom, you have to complete your task without the need of external validation. Make decisions not based on trends or polls or investors, but on conviction. In an age of social media where people's identity is embroiled in likes and shares, that's hard to come by. That's why today I've come to amplify a allegory that I think is befitting and appropriate for the hour and the season and the moment that we're in. It's about a young king by the name of Will. And this king ruled the entire earth. Whatever it is that he said came to pass. King Will was popular, he was lauded, he was celebrated, and he was revered. Before King Will made any decisions, he consulted with 3 judges. The first judge was a judge called Reason. The second judge was a judge called Conscience. And the third judge was a judge called Desire. Judge Conscience would always ask, is it right? Judge Reason would ask, is it best? And Judge Desire would ask, is this what I want? The king would consult all 3 and then make a decision. And while this is an allegory, it is a reality because you, lady and gentlemen, are King Will. What it is that you desire comes to the fore whenever you make a decision by casting your vote. The decision that you make will not just impact you, but it'll impact the next generation. We all have a conscience, we all have a reason, and we all have desire. For every piece of legislation that comes across your desk, you have to consult with those 3 judges and ask yourself, is it right? Is it right for children not to have access to free lunch when their parents are barely coming through? Is it right for people to not have a livable wage? Is it right for our veterans to be disproportionately unhoused? Is it right for the penal system to become a code word for mental health? You have to ask yourself for every bill that you confront in this session, is it best? Is it best for all Georgians to create safe systems for undocumented workers? Is it best for the curriculum to be reflective of not just American history, but Black history? Is it best for women to make just 10 cents out of every dollar? Is it best for the majority Black state colleges to have the least amount of funding? And then ask yourself the third question from the judge, is it what I want? Simon Sinek writes a book entitled Leaders Eat Last. Jesus asked of himself in the Garden of Gethsemane, not my will, but his will be done. Put prejudice aside and put Georgia at the center. What's good for Cherokee County should be good for Cobb County. What's helpful to Gordon County should be available in Gwinnett County. And the services offered in Bullock should also be available in DeKalb. Be bold enough to be disliked, even when people in your own party don't agree. Be bold enough to be disliked, even if you don't make the headlines in the AJC. Be bold enough to be disliked, even when your top supporters and givers turn away. People are unreasonable. Forgive them anyway. People will accuse you of ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. You will have unfaithful friends and genuine enemies. Succeed anyway. What you create for others will be destroyed overnight. Create it anyway. The good you do today may be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. For some people, whatever you do in this house will not be enough. That's between you and God, because it was never about them anyway. Let's pray. Good and gracious God, guide our feet while we run this race. We don't want this race to be run in vain. I pray, dear Lord, you'll put in our hands what is necessary to turn and open doors for others who have been locked out. Strengthen our voice for us to be able to speak for those who can't speak for themselves. Anoint our eyes so we can see beyond now and get a glimpse of what can be. God, we trust you even in the moments where we can't trace you. And we believe that the government is on your shoulders. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
We always like to introduce our docs of the day, our physicians that come down here and volunteer their time. Recognize the senator from the 24th to introduce our doctor of the day.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is my honor to be able to present to you the doctor today, a doctor that is tremendously an asset for Augusta area. Dr. Lamar Homar is a board and certified orthopedic surgeon. She raised in Marietta. She went to Marietta High School, and then she did something very important. She went to the University of Georgia. Go Dogs. Then now she's a professor at the MCG in Augusta. She and her husband, Robert, which Robert is an attorney in the Augusta area, they have 3 beautiful children, 3 daughters. It is my honor to give you the doctor today.
All right.
Well, thank you. It's certainly a pleasure to be here. I don't have much to say. I know you're all busy. I just want to thank you for your service to the people of Georgia, and I want to thank you for your support to those of us in healthcare. You know, certainly, despite the challenges, we will continue to fight tirelessly for our patients and to do the right thing, and so we appreciate all your support. And so I'm over there. If any of you have any orthopedic issues, feel free to come by and see me.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. How old are you kids? If I could have everyone's attention, we always have very special guests here, and it's nice to welcome some folks from Monroe County, which is a neighboring county of mine, and they're good folks down in Forsyth, Georgia, and Monroe County, and we're glad they're here to join us today. I recognize this pro tem, the senator from the 18th, to introduce. Actually, let me let the secretary read the resolution first, Senator.
Senate Resolution 119 by Senator Kennedy of the 18th, a resolution recognizing February 6, 2025 as Monroe County Day at the state capitol and for other purposes. Whereas Monroe County, Georgia was founded in 1821 and named after James Monroe, a founding father and the 5th President of the United States, and whereas with the city of Forsyth serving as its county seat, Monroe County covers 395 square miles and has a population of over 27,000 people, and whereas the Monroe County Commission is dutifully and effectively performing its role as the elected legislative body of Monroe County, and whereas the Monroe County Chamber of Commerce is working to develop and apply new ideas, techniques, and technologies to generate and improve productivity levels, fiscal sustainability, business development, job growth, and quality of life within Monroe County, and whereas established in 2001, Leadership Monroe hosts annual classes to cultivate strong community leaders by connecting a diverse group of individuals, equipping them with the skills and knowledge to address local challenges. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize February 6, 2025 as Monroe County Day at the state capitol and express sincere best wishes for continued success. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Recognize the senator from the 18th. Speaks to the resolution. Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. Welcome. I know it's Thursday, but it's kind of Friday for us, as this is our last legislative day of the week. And it's a real privilege for me this morning. I've got the special privilege of recognizing today, February 6th, as Monroe County Day at the Capitol. It's both a privilege and a humbling experience to stand before you representing the community of residents that continually demonstrate a deep commitment to unity, education, and growth. It's the county that y'all know I call home and where I have raised my family of great people that are great public servants, and some of those are behind me. You know, from the charming streets of Forsyth, Georgia, to the roaring Tabalaga River, winding down from High Falls State Park, Monroe County has become the home of breathtaking landscapes and also remarkable leaders who are tirelessly working to shape a brighter future for the community and for Georgia that we love. It's with great pride that I recognize some of the exemplary leaders who work hard to make the city of Forsyth and Monroe County as a whole into a very, very flourishing community. Today on the roster behind me, I've got Mayor Eric Wilson. He's the mayor of Forsyth. I've got Joyce White, the Executive Director of the Development Authority. Mr. Greg Head, he's the Chairman of the Monroe County School Board. Mr. Alan Gibbs, he is the Monroe County Board Chair of our County Commission, newly elected. He says he's in the saddle and learning a lot every day and doing good work there. Carrie Swearinger is behind me. She's the 2025 Chair and Board of Directors of the Forsyth Monroe County Chamber of Commerce. And then Melissa Lee is also with us, the President and CEO of the Forsyth Monroe County Chamber. In the gallery, I think we've got some good folks from Leadership Forsyth and other community leaders that may be there. So I am very moved and appreciative that they have chosen to come spend a little time with me and, more importantly, with you here at the Capitol so they can tell you about Monroe County. And I'm honored to present the resolution. So colleagues, please join me in recognizing Monroe County Day at the Capitol. And before we do that, let me ask, how about the Monroe County Leadership Forsyth folks? Are they in the gallery? Do we have any? If you would stand, do we have any? Yeah, y'all stand up. Let us recognize you. Let me ask our County Commission Chair to speak for a moment to you. Chair.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us here. It's very important. Thank you so much for having us here. It's very important to maintain a good relationship with our state government, and it is an honor to be here and a privilege. I hope that we continue to grow this bond and work together closely moving forward. Thank you, Monroe County, for showing up.
We got a couple more special guests that are not, they're being recognized over in the house right now, so we're gonna open it up for points of personal privilege while we wait on the others for the special presentation. So, Senator from the 4th, would you like to take a point of personal privilege?
Pushed the button early. Thank you, Mr. President. It is a great honor for me today to recognize a great group from Statesboro, Georgia. We always, us up here, I know I do, and Joanne, when we have people from Statesboro come up, it always makes us smile. So we got a group, Leadership Bullet 2425, so I see some of y'all right up here, so if y'all would please stand up and let us recognize you, please. Thank you. And I think we all, for my district, Senate District 4, which also includes Evans County, we have a great group of young junior board Chamber of Commerce people here, and I think they may be in the house. But if y'all are in the gallery, if y'all would please stand up, any of y'all. I think they're stuck in the house. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator, and always good to have the good folks from Statesboro, Georgia up here. So we're very glad to have y'all here today. So thank you, Senator. Recognize the senator from the 32nd for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to recognize another special group that's here today. The dental hygienists of Georgia are here in Mass. And you may have noticed that you've got some things on your desk that will help you maintain your own oral hygiene. And I told you all this last year, but there are a couple pointers about brushing your teeth. One is if you're a senior like me, you can stand on one foot while you're brushing your teeth and improve your balance while you're brushing your teeth. And to know if you've done that long enough, you can hum your favorite happy birthday tune. I prefer the chorus from Jolene. If you do that twice, then you've been doing it long enough. So welcome to all the dental hygienists, and I hope you enjoy your day at the Capitol. I don't know if any of y'all are up there in the gallery. Okay, there they are. Thank you for being here. With that, I yield the well. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Recognize the senator from the 49th for a point of personal privilege.
Colleagues, I rise today and recognize my dear friends and leaders from Hall County Chamber of Commerce. We've got in the chamber with me this morning, I've got our Executive Director, Tim Evans, our County Administrator, Zach Propes, and our Chamber President, Glennis Barnes. Also up in the gallery, several members of our Leadership Hall County class this year. I went through that class years ago. I won't go back in. It was before this gray hair, and I had all my hair back then. So I want to give a little shout out to Gainesville Hall County. We were just recognized as the #1 best performing metro in the nation by the Millikan Institute. So that's quite the honor. They've also come down here. They didn't come empty-handed. They brought the illustrious chicken boxes that you guys have been getting for so many years, full of great local treats from different businesses across the county. There's a shameless plug here. There's some J. Moore jelly in here that I got up this morning and made for you guys before I came to the chamber. Join me in thanking our friends from Gainesville Hall County Chamber of Commerce. Mr. President, I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator, and we appreciate everyone from Hall County being here as well. Recognize the senator from the 8th, Lowndes County's Man of the Year.
We're here to celebrate alligators, Mr. President. Today is Okefenokee Swamp Park Day. And we want to thank our good friends Kim Betternick and her team for being here. And we're just thankful that the Okefenokee Swamps in South Georgia, it is a gift to our region, it's a gift to the state of Georgia, and it's truly a gift to the world. It's a beautiful place. And I have the lovely Paradise children with me. Lorianne kept them home today because they have been some kind of excited about alligators. And so normally we've had one alligator, but today Miss Kim brought 2 alligators for both of them. And so we've got Charlie and Tommy, Mr. President. And we're not going to say go Gators, though, are we? Yeah, that's right. Well, thank you for what y'all do in our community, and thank you for bringing 2 alligators, one for each of them. And Mr. President, with that, I'll yield the well.
Senator, that alligator is a little bigger than the one last year. Thank you, Senator. I recognize the senator from the 36.
Thank you, Governor. Colleagues, we're wearing red for heart health with the American Heart Association, and appreciate everybody doing that. And we're wearing blue jeans to honor a longtime colleague here, leader in agriculture, the late John Bullock. So on Happy Heart Day, I hope that we can pause for a minute and try to let our heart lead us as we go into this debate on Senate Bill 1 and House Bill 104, the 2 bills that are moving around the future of our trans kids, a tiny percentage of children here in the state. But hey, all for one and one for all. I'm going to read to you a letter from a Georgia mom whose child is a 12-year-old trans boy. Dear Georgia legislators, in light of the proposed bills, Senate Bill 1 and HB 104, I'd like to tell you a bit about my own child's experience as a transgender kid playing sports. I hope that hearing about what team sports participation means for children like mine can help to give you a closer view into what Georgia children are experiencing. My son has been on summer swim team for 6 years. For the first 5 of these, he competed on the girls' team, as he was assigned female at birth, and he hadn't yet let us know how uncomfortable that felt for him. Last summer, he competed as a boy on the swim team for the first time. I was terribly nervous. Would they make fun of him? Would they accept him? What about bathing suits? He'd been having a hard time with other kids making fun of him at school after he socially transitioned. That is, he started using a new name and pronouns and got a more masculine haircut. And he'd been coming home depressed and wanting to do nothing but shut himself in his room. Would swim team just add to that misery? Last summer swim team, with my son competing as a boy, was an amazing experience. He hung out with the other 12-year-old boys. He was accepted as one of them, seeing who could swim breaststroke faster, learning to swim butterfly, messing around and dumping swim caps full of water on each other's heads. I watched him practice from the parents' area, and I saw my child look free for the first time. I wondered what looked so different from the previous year. And I think it was that he didn't look scared. He looked comfortable. He didn't look like he was waiting for something to go wrong. He was happy and confident. He wore boys' swim trunks and a swim shirt. At swim meets, he looked like all the other preteen boys. I doubt anyone on the other teams knew that he was a trans boy. At practice, everyone knew he was a trans boy because almost everyone remembered him from the previous summer when he had competed for the girls' team and used a different name. They accepted and protected him. If somebody accidentally used the wrong pronoun, a teammate would correct them, saying, "You mean he." The team coach pulled me aside and told me it almost felt like she was coaching a different kid. She said my son was relaxed and happy, didn't object to instructions, wasn't grumpy about boring drills, that my son was having fun, something she hadn't seen in the previous summer swim team. My son seemed transformed by his acceptance and participation with his team. During and after swim season, he spent more time out of his room and with our family. He joked, he smiled. He'd been waiting to belong, for his peers to say, "You're okay as who you are," and they had done that. Then the school year started, and his peers at school were not as accepting. A few of the boys there did not want him to play on the boys' soccer team at recess. The other boys complained to the teachers they didn't want a girl on their team. My son came home talking about how he hated soccer, and because of it, he hated school. I got calls from his teachers about how he was mean to other kids on the playground, which surprised him because he had always been so welcoming and accepting of everyone. The school would not let him use the boys' changing room for sports. He didn't want to change in front of anyone, didn't want to see anybody else change. He's a preteen boy with a preteen boy's embarrassment. He stayed home from school the next day crying, refusing to go back. This was a school he had loved, where he had been loved by the teachers and felt at home. He went from being an ebullient boy of the summer to being sad all the time. Didn't want to play soccer, didn't want to go swimming at the YMCA, didn't want to do anything anymore. And that's the holding pattern we're in right now. Being part of a team, training alongside other kids and working with them towards the same goals, sharing both the joy and disappointment that come in athletic competition did so much for my son's mental health. Being excluded from it was emotionally crushing. My son is one trans boy, but his experience with the power of team sports to build confidence and community is shared with peers across the state, including the trans girls targeted by your bills. I hope you can think about his experience, the experience you can allow other trans kids to have as you vote on these bills. I know you want what's best for our kids. Give them mental health, give them belonging, give them sports. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. If everybody can be mindful when the senator's in the well, speaking on a point of personal privilege, let's try to keep the conversation as low as possible. Thank you. We have another special presentation here today. So we got our National Guardsmen and ladies here today. Secretary, read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 82 by Senator Payne of the 54th and others, a resolution recognizing February 6, 2025 as National Guard Day at the state capitol and for other purposes. Whereas the Georgia Department of Defense provides ready and relevant military forces to combatant commanders to defend our nation, and to the governor to support homeland defense and defense support to civil authorities. And whereas the Georgia Department of Defense is headquartered in the Clay National Guard Center in Marietta, Georgia, and includes the Georgia Army National Guard, the Georgia Air National Guard, and the Georgia State Defense Force. And whereas the Georgia Department of Defense consists of more than 11,000 Army National Guard soldiers, 2,800 Air National Guard airmen, 450 State Defense Force volunteers, and 500 state employees. And whereas the Georgia National Guard has deployed more than 33,000 soldiers and airmen throughout all geographic combatant commands since September 11th, 2001, and whereas in 2024, more than 2,000 Georgia Guard soldiers, airmen, and State Defense Force personnel responded in the wake of Hurricanes Debbie, Milton, and Helene, the last of which was the Georgia National Guard's largest domestic storm response in more than 30 years, encompassing more than 100 missions in 35 counties. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize February 6, 2025 as National Guard Day at the state capitol and commend the men and women of the Georgia National Guard for their strength, leadership, courage, and selfless service. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Glad to have the senator from the 54th to speak to the resolution. Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. My friends, it's my honor today to do this resolution honoring the Georgia National Guard. You know, what we're really honoring are those who have the hearts of a liberator, those who have the hearts to sacrifice self to liberate others. It's not something that the military gives you. That's why they put you through all that training at the beginning. They're discerning to find out if you have the heart to run forward when anybody else would be running away. So that's why it's always so very important that we always remember those who serve and those who serve in our Georgia National Guard. Today we have Major General Dwayne Wilson with us, Brigadier General Jason Fryman, Command Sergeant Major John Ballinger, Colonel David Smith, Command Chief Master Sergeant Aaron Dent, and Brigadier General Dennis Watts. And we also have our very own Captain Kay Kirkpatrick. It's my honor to be here today and to present this, and I just tell you that it's we owe a lot to these men and women. And we will always owe a lot to these men and women. I always tell people all the time, when I left the military, I never forgot that another 18-year-old kid stepped in my spot. And even right now, while I'm standing on this podium, there's an 18-year-old kid standing on a wall in a really dark and dangerous region of the world in the middle of the night, and here she's already come to terms with the fact that there could be a sniper's rifle on me right now. Yet here she still stands there. So you really want to know what freedom is? Go find that kid and ask him why. Because it's more than the want of freedom, it's the hope of freedom. And it's my honor today to introduce you, as we always do, Major General Richard D. Wilson.
All right. Thank you so much.
Well, sir, thanks for the intro. Lieutenant Governor, sir, thank you for allowing us to be here and for allowing me to just have a couple of minutes to highlight the incredible accomplishments of the almost 15,000 men and women that make up the Georgia Army National Guard, the Georgia Air National Guard, the Georgia State Defense Force, our federal and state employees that work with us. These men and women work day in and day out, selflessly serving our state and our nation, both at home and abroad. As was mentioned earlier, just a few months ago, service members assisted our local communities and our state partners during both the response and recovery efforts after Hurricanes Debbie, Helene, and Milton. Hurricane Helene, as you all well know in here, was one of the most devastating storms that our state has ever experienced. Almost 2,000 soldiers, airmen, and volunteers from our State Defense Force responded within hours and then continued to work during the days and weeks that followed the aftermath of the storm. Additionally, your Georgia National Guard continues to be more globally engaged than ever before. And I've been doing this for a few years, and we certainly are all over the globe like we've never been. Last year alone, we deployed over 2,300 soldiers and airmen across every geographic combatant command to places like Europe, South America, the Pacific, Africa, the Middle East, and then right here in the good old United States along our own southwest border, providing some additional security. Some of these men and women are here with us today, so I'm going to take just a second, if you don't mind. They're in the balcony. I'm going to ask them to stand, please. Please join me in recognizing these brave men and women. These brave men and women put their own lives on hold each and every day to protect the freedoms that we get to enjoy as Americans. So thank you all very, very much for what you do. Despite a national recruiting crisis, our force is fully manned. The Georgia National Guard is in great shape. The Army National Guard finished 2024 with an end strength of 110%. And not everybody does that. Only a couple states were able to do that. The Air National Guard is not too far behind, closing in on 100% of their authorized strength, and they're doing that while they're also transitioning both of their air wings to new missions, both in Savannah and down at Warner Robins. We continue to renovate and modernize our armories across the state. Most of our facilities were built in the 1950s and the 1960s. This initiative, which was made possible by only by the support of Governor Kemp and you all, the General Assembly, allows us to combine state and federal funds to get after renovating our facilities. By the end of the year, we'll have completed 24 renovations, or really almost half of the armories that we want to renovate. And so that's only because of you all, and we certainly appreciate that. Finally, we were recently selected by both the Army and the Air Force to receive brand new force structure, brand new capability, brand new units, and that's a big deal. That doesn't always happen, and it happens because of the men and women behind me and the folks up in the balcony. But this new capability will include the M10 Booker combat system for the Army National Guard, as well as a new remotely piloted aircraft integration mission for the 116th Air Wing, and then brand new C-130Js for the 165th Air Wing down in Savannah. In fact, we'll pick up the 4th aircraft from Lockheed next month. These new units will keep the Georgia National Guard at the forefront of readiness, modernization, and lethality for the state and for the nation for decades. But we're only able to successfully accomplish all of this because of you all and because of the support that we get. So thank you for all that you've done, all that you're continuing to do for our soldiers, airmen families, civilians that work with us, and also the employers who provide career opportunities for our service members. As we begin 2025, rest assured that the Georgia National Guard is well equipped to successfully navigate any of the challenges that lie ahead. Georgians should continue to take great pride in knowing that the Georgia National Guard, Army, Air, and the State Defense Force is always ready and always there. Thank you so much for allowing us just a couple of minutes to be here this morning. Sir, thank you. Yeah.
All right, we appreciate National Guard being here today. We have some very special guests here behind me. Morehouse School of Medicine is with us today. Secretary, read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 83 by Senator Brass of the 6th and others, a resolution commending Morehouse School of Medicine upon its 50th anniversary and for other purposes. Whereas Dr. Lewis Brown, an internal medicine physician in Atlanta, proposed the idea for a new school of medicine to the presidents of the Atlanta University Center Schools in 1969, and whereas in 1975, Morehouse College recruited Dr. Lewis W. Sullivan, a Morehouse graduate, to serve as the first president and academic dean of the medical education program at Morehouse College, with a vision to diversify the healthcare workforce and provide primary healthcare in underserved rural and urban communities. And whereas the medical school was incorporated in Georgia in 1980, officially became an independent institution in 1981, and established a 4-year medical school in 1985 as the Morehouse School of Medicine, and whereas 3,283 students, including 1,867 physicians, have graduated from Morehouse School of Medicine, and approximately 60% of the MD graduates who have completed residency are practicing in Georgia. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend Morehouse School of Medicine upon its 50th anniversary celebration in the state of Georgia, without which students would not have access to quality education, research would not have been conducted, and healthcare access would not have expanded as broadly across the state. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. Watch out. I'll scare you there. It's always good to have the good leadership from the Morehouse School of Medicine down to visit us every year. They've always been great partners with us here in the state, and we greatly appreciate their leadership being here. So I recognize the senator from the 6th, the Rules Chairman, to speak to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. When I got elected back in 2016, at the time I was working for Congressman Lynn Westmoreland, and many of y'all know Congressman Westmoreland served as minority leader in the state house, and he served over there for 12 years. And when I got elected, I asked him, I said, who at the Capitol do I need to go see first? And I'm thinking he might tell me the governor who he served in Congress with, or maybe the governor's chief of staff, or, maybe the lieutenant governor, maybe the speaker. He said, go see Representative Calvin Smyrie. And so that was one of the first people I sought out to go see. And he was already a legend, had been here a long time. Back then, he was a state rep. Mr. Smyrie went on to become an ambassador, and then most recently, his portrait now hangs in our state capitol. And I'm so honored to have him here, and even more honored when he asked me if I would carry this resolution and introduce Dr. Rice. And so I'm here today, we are here today, to recognize the 50th anniversary of Morehouse School of Medicine. And I'm proud as a Georgia native to see all our HBCUs reaching such remarkable heights. Morehouse School of Medicine has contributed to our great state in so many ways, from training more than 3,200 healthcare professionals to providing top-notch patient care. The medical school began with a very humble beginning as a 2-year program at Morehouse College in 1975, with students transferring to other medical schools for their 3rd and 4th year clinical training. The school became independent from the college in 1981 when it transitioned to a 4-year program, becoming Morehouse School of Medicine and awarding its first medical degrees in 1985. 50 years ago, the members of this body, those before us, did the state of Georgia an incredible service that is continuing to pay huge dividends today by supporting the start of Morehouse School of Medicine. So with that, I would like to invite Dr. Valerie Montgomery Rice, the president and CEO of Morehouse School of Medicine, to say just a few words. She is a Macon native. Dr. Rice is a graduate of Georgia Tech University, Harvard Medical School, and did her residency training at Emory. She is the 6th president and first woman to lead the institution, where she has served as president for the past 11 years. Under Dr. Montgomery Rice's leadership, Morehouse School of Medicine has dramatically expanded its physical footprint, academic programs, research initiatives, and medical student class size. With that, I give you Dr. Montgomery Rice.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, Senator Brass, and the entire Georgia Senate delegation. On behalf of Morehouse School of Medicine, its students, faculty, staff, alumni, and board of trustees, it is an absolute honor for us to be here with you today. I have standing with me our Dean and Executive Vice President, Dr. Adrian Tyndall, Ms. Susan Grant, our Vice Chair of our board, Mr. Kiana Murray, who is the President of our SGA, soon to be Doctor. I think you might know him. One of our longest standing supporters, Calvin Smyrie. Our chair of our board, Arthur Collins. One of our newest, greatest supporters, you might know him. And I know you know Nan, who has been our champion for so long. Thank you. And we have other with us, Randall Magner, the Senate, with one of our senators. In the stand, though, we have our students, our faculty, our staff, board of trustees. Please stand and be recognized. The state of Georgia played a pivotal role in the founding and continued success of Morehouse School of Medicine. And in 1975, the state supported the establishment of Morehouse School of Medicine as a 2-year program to improve access to health care in underserved communities by addressing the shortage of minority physicians in the state of Georgia. And in 1977, the members of the legislative body made a decision to invest $1 million into this 2-year medical education program that began in a trailer on Morehouse College campus. A few years later, the Morehouse School of Medicine was officially established as an independent 4-year medical program. I am honored to come before you a half a century later to thank you for that financial commitment and the establishment of one of the most successful public-private partnerships to address access to care for the state of Georgia. This body believed in Morehouse School of Medicine, a private school with a public mission, and I am proud to say that we have provided you and the state with an incredible return on your investment, graduating more than 3,200 healthcare professionals, including nearly 1,900 physicians, with greater than 60% of our MD graduates remaining in Georgia to practice in our great state. Over the years, the state of Georgia has provided critical funding, resources, and policy that have allowed Morehouse School of Medicine to grow. Not only do we have a successful MD program, but with your support, we have established one of the oldest Masters in Public Health programs that is celebrating 30 years of existence. A fully accredited PA program with greater than 80% of those graduates remaining in Georgia to practice. 14 other master's programs, an MD PhD program, and other PhD programs. As well, in partnership with Grady Hospital, the VA Hospital, Children's Hospital of Atlanta, and many others, we have over 200 residents and fellows training in our GME programs. Equally exciting, we have hired our founding dean for our nursing program, which will enroll our first students in the Doctorate of Nurse Midwifery in the fall of 2026. And our first students for the BSMS program will enroll in the fall of 2027. Our decision to start with a doctorate degree in nurse midwifery was not by accident. It was intentional to focus on the severe maternal mortality issues that women in Georgia face during pregnancy. A key to the success, though, of these programs has been the recruitment of Georgia high school graduates to Morehouse School of Medicine through our pipeline initiatives that expose them early on to the opportunities in healthcare. We are excited to note that we touch now 94% of the 159 counties in the state of Georgia, with students applying to one of our 16-degree granting programs. Most importantly, we now have Morehouse School of Medicine alumni practicing in 57 of the 159 counties in Georgia, and 89% of those counties are underserved. In order for us to continue this success, though, We've established a regional medical campus in Columbus, and we have recently signed an agreement with the largest and most comprehensive health system in Southwest Georgia, Phoebe Putney Health System in Albany, to establish our second regional campus in the state of Georgia. These partnerships ensure that Morehouse School of Medicine is not limiting its impact to the greater Atlanta area. We are recruiting, retaining, and developing healthcare professionals from the most challenging areas in the state of Georgia and providing them with a pathway to return and practice in those communities. So as you can see, we've been a little busy over the last 5 decades, but I promise you, we will be here another 50 years to keep going and keep Georgia successful. Thank you very much.
All right, good morning. Let's let the Senate come back to order. We'll start now with, are there any unanimous consents? Any unanimous consents? No. Yep. We're going to get to points of personal privilege. We're not done. We're going to roll to that next. Okay, yeah. We just finished the special presentation, so we'll do the, are there any unanimous consents? The chair hears none, and we're now going to roll into more points of personal privilege. The chair recognizes the senator from the 17th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I am honored and delighted to acknowledge 2 Chamber of Commerce organizations today, the Clayton County Chamber of Commerce and the Airport Chamber of Commerce. The Airport Chamber of Commerce boasts a 1,200 membership and promotes economic prosperity. The president and CEO that able to lead that organization is Ms. Carmita Scott. Also, the board chair is Mr. Brian Brown. Would y'all please raise your hand so they can see you? Give them a round of applause there. Also, the Clayton County Chamber of Commerce was founded in 1953, dedicated to making Clayton County the ideal place in Metro Atlanta to live, work, and play. As one of the largest business associations in the regions, Clayton County Chamber of Commerce promotes business growth and enhances the quality of life through economic prosperity. Although Clayton County is one of the smallest counties in the state of Georgia at 125 square miles, it is one of the strongest business climates, boasting over 6,000 businesses. It is led by the able president and CEO, Ms. Valencia Williamson. Also, we have with us Ms. Roya Baxter, the vice chair of the Clayton County Board of Commissioners, Commissioner Elena Reeves. The chair of the Clayton County Board of Commissioners, the chairwoman, is Dr. Alika Anderson Henry. And then with the Clayton County Chamber of Commerce, we have the Vice President of Community Development at First Bank with the Clayton County Chamber of Commerce. Please give them a round of applause. If we have others, I know you had to leave and go over to the floppy floor, but if we have others in the gallery, would you please stand? But thank you so much, Chamber members, for being here today. We appreciate all you do for businesses and for the state of Georgia. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you, Senator. The chair recognizes the distinguished senator from the 51st, our majority leader, for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone. Today's going to be a busy day, but sometime today you're going to want to have a good lunch. So I'd like to invite you downstairs to the GIFA luncheon. It's going to be in room 230 from noon to 2 o'clock. Now, if you don't know what GIFA is, I would encourage you to get to know them. It's the Georgia Environmental Facilities Authority, especially for those of you that are new to the Senate. GIFA is very instrumental in helping local governments get loans and grants for different projects, mostly infrastructure, water, sewer, recycling, all kinds of environmental projects in your community. So if you don't know the folks from GIFA, get to know them. The executive director is Hunter Hill, who used to be a senator here in this chamber. So please go by and say hello to the folks from GIFA, room 230 from noon to 2. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. Chair recognizes our distinguished dean, the senator from the 15th, for a point of personal privilege.
Mr. President, I would like to take this opportunity to ask the senator from the 29th to join me if he's in the chamber. If not, Senator Robertson. What we would like to do at this time is recognize the Columbus Youth Advisory Council who's visiting us in the gallery today. They're a group of young leaders at the Capitol to see firsthand the workings of state government. So if they would stand up, the Columbus Advisory Group, so we can give them a big round of applause. They're sitting government. Thank you very kindly for your time, Mr. President. Thank you for visiting your capital. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Yes, sir. Good remarks from our good dean. Chair recognizes the senator from the 42nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, I rise for two reasons today. First, today is Alzheimer's Awareness Day. This is a disease that impacts over 188,000 Georgians every single year, and it also involves over 374,000 caregivers in our state taking care of those with this terrible disease. And I appreciate Ms. Nancy Petra and everyone with the Georgia Alzheimer's Association for all you do to advocate for those impacted by this disease in our state. Second, today is Strolling Thunder Day at the state capitol. And no, it's not a group of bikers out there. It's a group of parents, working families that are advocating for issues that impact working families in our state. You'll see children out there in the halls, up out here with their parents. We also have folks in the gallery from GEARS, Georgia Early Education Alliance for Ready Students. This group advocates for working families in our state, those with young children, the issues impacting young families, and they've done a lot of work this past year with us looking at the issue of affordable child care, and I'm excited to have their help as we try to address the issue of access to affordable child care in our state, and also happy to have the support of Lieutenant Governor this week as we rolled out SB 89, our first big effort in trying to help these families in our state. So with that, I'd like to recognize Mindy Benderman and everyone with GEARS in the gallery. If you will stand if you're still with us. Good to see y'all. Thank you so much for being here. If you all please recognize them for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The chair recognizes the senator from the 31st, our distinguished Majority Caucus Chairman.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. President. Today we celebrate and honor the birthday and legacy of Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States. Beginning as a sports announcer and advancing to captain in the United States Army Air Force, Governor of California, and President of the United States, President Reagan is a leading example of the undying American spirit. He served as a transformative leader and president from 1981 to 1989. Known as the Great Communicator, President Reagan continuously instilled a great sense of optimism and spirit into countless Americans during times of fear and despair. Leading by peace through strength, President Reagan modernized the United States military, supported freedom for communities around the world. The President's enduring legacy will continue inspiring millions of Americans to strive for the American dream. Happy birthday, President Reagan. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Chair recognizes the senator from the 41st.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand here today in front of you as a senator, a priest, a wife, and a mom, and for this conversation, most importantly, as a gay athlete. I stand here today holding gently the struggle between the past and the future. In one hand, the past, where gay and lesbian athletes were forced to hide behind a facade in order to escape judgment, punishment, and the fears of others. A past where we hid so that we could play the sport that we loved and be a part of the team. Where we hid in order to be included. And in my other hand, I hold the hope of our future. A future where we've moved past the fears of others and those who are different. It was a long time before enough people saw that gay athletes like me were not bad guys, that letting gay athletes be a part of a team wouldn't hurt the other girls' experiences. It was a long, slow evolution from fear to acceptance, but we did finally get there. If not quite to approval, then at the very least, more tolerance. Tolerance that giving the different a place on a team did not take away from others. And as with all things, the cycle has returned. Later today, we will debate whether or not trans children will be rendered invisible on the playing field. And I want to pause here to just make it clear right now that trans girls, they are here and they are here to stay. I want to be clear and say to all of our girls, you are worthy, you are valuable, and you deserve equal treatment. My heart breaks for the trans children who have to live in this moment, those who feel isolated and unsupported. especially trans kids in Georgia, where this General Assembly has systematically worked to eradicate trans youth. I hold immense grief for the lived experiences of our trans kids and their parents and all those who love and care about them. And I am willing to keep working to create a safe space for trans children to come down here and to tell their stories, to make sure that our trans girls know that they are loved. And my heart also breaks for cisgendered girls who will be questioned because of SB 1. The girls who, like me, were a little too strong, a little too tall, a little too athletic, just a little too good. Girls who will have to prove that they are, in fact, girls because they are judged and scrutinized for not quite living up to what a girl is supposed to look like. The license to discriminate in this bill and SB 1 will give the right for parents to call out any and every girl that they think might be better than their child and have them prove that they are a girl. I know this grief personally. As a cisgender athlete who didn't conform to the look of certain girl athletes, I know what it is to have your gender questioned. And I see and I hold space for you and what you will endure because of SB 1. Alongside this grief that I have for our trans and cis girl athletes, I also hold hope. Hope that my colleagues will evolve on this issue. Hope that just as the past has shown us that tolerance and acceptance is possible, that we can move forward. Despite this body's efforts to stop the future from happening, I want to be clear that it's already on its way. In fact, the future is already showing up, and it shows up in the beautiful trans youth that we see here who are sharing their stories and finally feel whole, feel human. The future has already shown up. It's shown up in the joy of our LGBTQ community who continues to spread against all odds our celebration of all things that make us different, unique, and beautifully human. I know that my colleagues will evolve one day and move from fear to acceptance, stepping out of the past and into the future. And I remain ever present and ever hopeful as that day comes when our trans youth can feel safe and loved in our community. With that, Mr. President, I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. The chair recognizes the senator from the 38th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, those of us, those joining us in the well. I rise today for Black History Month, and I want to recognize James Baldwin, who was a great American literary voice and a very good moral voice back in the early 1900s. Born in Harlem in 1924, Baldwin grew up in a nation that often refused to see the full humanity of Black Americans. But Baldwin was determined to make the world see, to make it hear, and to, most importantly, make it feel the pain of injustice. Through his words, he confronted the harsh realities of racism and injustice in America by boldly showing us that we are all human. Baldwin did not simply document history, he challenged it. He spoke truth to power with an eloquence and passion that shook the conscience of a nation. In all his works, Baldwin gave voice to the marginalized, the forgotten, and the oppressed. He once told us, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Black, queer, and unafraid to challenge injustice, Baldwin refused to be silenced. He used his words as a weapon for truth, forcing America to confront the realities of racism and homophobia. At a time when living openly as a gay man, particularly a black gay man, was met with tremendous resistance, Baldwin dared to tell the stories that reflected the full complexity of human identity. His work spoke to the struggles of those who lived in the shadows, reminding them and reminding us all that love is love and that every person deserves dignity and freedom. But Baldwin did more than write. He challenged systems of oppression. He stood at the intersection of civil rights and LGBTQ liberation, reminding us that justice is not truly justice until it includes everyone. His words clearly remain as urgent today as they were decades ago. In our ongoing fight for justice, Baldwin's vision calls on us to be courageous, to reject complacency, to build a future where freedom is not just an ideal, but a lived reality for all. James Baldwin was more than a writer. He was a moral compass. And today, as we honor his legacy, let us commit ourselves to his fight for truth, for dignity, and for justice. Let us ensure that his voice echoes not just in our history books, but in our actions, in our policies, in our hearts, and on our vote today. I yield the will.
Thank you, Senator. The chair recognizes the senator from the 39th for a point of personal privilege. Thinking to speak about some special guests that we've seen in the chamber this morning.
Thank you, Mr. President. They're making their way in, but this morning I have the pleasure of recognizing 7 incredible young women representing the Miss Georgia and Miss America organizations. I have with me Anna Kate Robinson, Miss Capital City, Lindsay Jones, Miss Greater Atlanta, Peyton Kristen, Miss Empire of the South, Claire Zhang, Miss Atlanta's Teen, Ansley Rose, Miss Capital City's Teen, Whitney Hartsock, Miss Greater Atlanta's Teen, and Delaney Lanham, Miss Empire of the South's Teen. These young women will go on to compete at Miss Georgia in Columbus in June, and they are also here today representing the American Heart Association in honor of Go Red for Women Day. Thank you for everybody in the chamber wearing red. February is American Heart Month, and as you may know, that heart disease is the #1 killer of women and often presents differently than men. So today, these women, and they are beautiful and smart and talented, but today we are all here to highlight the importance of women advocating and taking care of their hearts through physical activity, healthy eating, being tobacco-free, getting adequate sleep, taking care of mental health, and getting regular preventative care. Join me in welcoming these young women and take care of your heart. Thank you. I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator, for those great comments and kind introductions of our special guests. The chair recognizes the senator from the 5th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, I'd like to recognize a special guest in the chamber today. Shirish Subhash is a 9th grader at the Gwinnett School of Math, Science, and Technology in my district. Shirish was selected as the winner of the 3M Young Scientist Challenge. He created a method to detect pesticide residue on consumable produce using AI-based handheld detector. The 3M Young Scientist Challenge is the nation's premier science competition for grade 5 to 8. This past October, all 10 finalists came to 3M's world headquarters in St. Paul, Minnesota to compete for the title of America's Top Young Scientist and a chance to win $25,000. I want to congratulate Shirish Subhash being selected as the 3M Young Scientist Challenge winner and the America's Top Young Scientist this year. We are deeply inspired by your commitment to science. Georgia is fortunate to have bright young minds like you with passion for innovation and make positive impacts on our planet. Wishing you the best of luck in your future endeavors. My colleagues, please congratulate my constituency, Shubhas, who is right here. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the word.
Thank you, Senator. The chair recognizes the senator from the 35th for a point of personal privilege.
Good morning, colleagues. I rise this morning to speak on an issue that I've spoken to you about before. While many of you are wearing red for Wear Red Day on behalf of the American Heart Association, I wore purple to highlight a cause near and dear to my heart, the fight against Alzheimer's disease. My mom, Linda, is one of over 180,000 Georgians living with Alzheimer's disease, and as we know, it goes beyond those who are impacted. There are also hundreds of thousands of caregivers and family members who are impacted by this terrible disease. Now, I'm lucky enough to have a job which gives me the flexibility and the resources to prioritize her care, but that opportunity is not available to everyone. For every Georgian living with Alzheimer's, I think about the families who have to work hard to string together resources for their loved one. In Georgia, we do not have enough care to support families caring for aging loved ones. And it is a priority of mine to change that moving forward. Now, fortunately, we have organizations like the Alzheimer's Association there to support those who are impacted by this terrible disease. And I want to take this moment to recognize the outgoing executive director of the Georgia chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, Linda Davidson, who is retiring after 8 years at the helm of the organization and over 30 years serving seniors all across this state. So colleagues, please join me in congratulating Linda Davidson by giving her a round of applause. Thank you so much. I'm looking up in the gallery because I know that she was here earlier, but they are having a lunch across the street at the church starting in about 20 minutes. And I encourage all of you to join us as we continue to support the fight against Alzheimer's disease. Thank you so much, colleagues, and I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. The senator has yielded the well, and I see no other requests for points of personal privilege. All right. With that, we're going to move on to adoption of the privileged resolutions. You have before you a consent calendar of privileged resolutions. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? The chair hears none. If there's objection to the adoption of the resolutions on the consent calendar, and the chair hears none, then the resolutions on the consent calendar are adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw and commit? The chair hears none. All right, we're going to stand at ease for just a few moments, and then we'll resume Senate business in just a few moments. Thank you. Actually, a little bit of an update. Why don't we, it is 11:45, why don't we take a little break until 12:30, give everyone a chance for a little break and to get some lunch, maybe a short, quick lunch, and then we'll resume at 12:30 p.m. in just about 45 minutes, and we'll get on with the business calendar. And I think we've got a late arrival request for point of personal privilege, and happy to recognize the distinguished senator.
Thank you so much. Just want to remind you that at this little tiny break, come on over to the Working Families Caucus meeting for a hot lunch to come back and take up our work at 12:30. Well, you're welcome all. Thank you.
And one other amendment to the comments. Thank you, Senator. Pardon me, didn't mean to step over you before you left the well. My apologies. We have lunch in the anteroom for all senators. So take a moment, grab lunch, and if we can, be back in the chamber and in your seats at 12:30, and we'll resume Senate business at 12:30. Lunch in the anteroom. Thank you. We stand adjourned. Excuse me, no, we stand at ease. Pardon me, we stand at ease.